How clients turn themselves into a non-negotiable priority. How can we motivate our clients to build up their self-worth and to take ownership of their journey so they reach their goals? If you're interested in topics around this, around motivation interviewing, and in general on how to coach better, please subscribe. So let's jump into the topics. We will talk first about why clients struggle to make themselves a priority. Then we look at two different cases, a case where a client looks down or if a client looks up. And what I mean by that, I will explain in a second. We talk about the precondition to progress. So what does the client need to bring to the coaching journey so they're actually able to make progress? We talk about our part in the conversation and how it sometimes can be our fault that our clients are not progressing. We'll talk about change talk and how to recognize it. Change talk is essentially every type of speech that moves the client towards change. And I will give you some very specific coaching tools and tips to build up their confidence so they can take ownership and they make themselves a priority. So why is it so important to make ourselves a priority? If we look at others, it's easy. We see all the amazing things they do, all the unique abilities, everything that makes them lovable. So it's easy for us to take care of our family, of our friends, of our pets, plants, cars. Why is it so difficult for us to take care of ourselves? And the reason essentially is we are so painfully aware of our failures, our shortcomings, our vulnerabilities, our dark thoughts, essentially everything that makes us unlovable or unworthy of love. And if we focus too much on our shortcomings, on how human and imperfect we are, then it's super difficult to accept the idea that we deserve care, that we deserve attention. And this is the thing that I want to discuss with you. So you can have clients that are looking down, how I consider when you can have clients that are looking down. And what I mean by that is they're always looking at the negative. They always consider what is not working and all the obstacles that they have. And there's not really any room for them to even consider how to make progress. And this can be super difficult in a coaching conversation if a client is essentially shutting down all options and they're only looking downwards. On the opposite side, you can have clients that are looking upwards. They are maybe in a position where they're not making themselves a priority right now. For example, young parents and especially young mothers, they have to take care of their child first. The priorities and the needs of the child have to come first, but they could still try to look upwards, try to look for ways to take care of themselves and to make themselves a priority. So the fact that the client right now is not the priority is not a big deal. It's more their perspective. Are they looking down? Are they not looking for ways to improve the situation? Or are they looking up and are always looking for ways to improve and to make progress? So let's look at the first case when the client is looking down. And here the important question is, should we even help them? And I know this can be very triggering, the idea of, oh, I'm not helping a client. But we have to understand first where are they coming from. So it's very important to not assume that a client is always a victim of unjust circumstances, even when very terrible things like abuse happen to them. I'm not saying that the client is responsible for the abuse, but between the abuse and the moment they come to you, They had so many opportunities, so many decisions. And if you say they're coming to you because of this terrible thing happened, and nothing in between meant anything, it means that you're removing all the personal responsibility. And essentially, you're removing all their power to bring about change. So if you have a client that is in a very difficult place, please still don't assume that they are the victim, because you're removing all their power and all their responsibility from the situation. Even if what happened to you was a terrible, terrible thing, there's still something they can do. And the other part of a client that is looking down is this idea of, oh, that's a problem for future me. As health coaches, as fitness coaches, we are so used to the idea that we are constantly trying to grow, constantly trying to expand and to learn. And it's easy for us to project this idea onto our clients, but it's very often not the case. So don't assume that all clients come to you to improve, because failure is a far easier choice. Failure doesn't need any explanation for its existence. So it's so much easier for them to not think for themselves, to not take action, and to not care, because we can always move it to tomorrow. So I know it can be difficult to consider this, but there are clients that have made so many choices, have looked away from their possibilities to bring about change about the situation, that we are right now probably not able to help them. So when a client comes to you, always consider what is their part in the problem, and are they trying to move the problem to a future moment, so I'm not taking responsibility right now. And maybe you're thinking, oh no, I would never turn away from a client. Then I encourage you, explore why. Why do you want to help someone who is essentially not ready for help? What is your deeper motivation here? Are you trying to rescue your clients? Or do you want to shine next to them? I know these are difficult thoughts, but if you surround yourself with clients that are struggling, you're the one shining. And maybe is that your motivation, to help clients that don't want help? Is it maybe that you want to show the world how far you have come in your journey, and how compassionate you are, and how goodwill you are? Maybe you want to prove to yourself and to the world you're so self-sacrificing, so willing to help, that you need to be a good person. I'm not saying that's the case, but please understand, why do you want to help someone that is not ready for your help? What is your motivation behind it? Because if we have selfish reasons to help someone, that brings us all the worst coaching behaviors out of us. So I know it can be difficult, and I know people feel triggered by the idea of letting go or not working together with a client. But before you jump to that conclusion, try to understand why you're so desperately wanting to help. What do you get out of that? And you might say, well, if they come to me, it shows they want to change. And I agree. If they're making time for coaching, if they're paying for your time, then that is a sign that they want and need change in their lives. I'm not arguing with that. But at the same time, it's not that easy, because someone can want and need help, and at the same time look for confirmations that their life is so terrible because of external reasons. So they are using you to prove to themselves that the world is a terrible place, that nobody's out there that can help them, or they want just to blame you that they're not making progress. And this distinction between they want help and they're essentially looking for ways to exploiting you to confirm their beliefs about the world, it is super difficult to distinguish for you and for the client. We will move into more positive topics in a moment, but this is important to understand. There are clients that are not ready to change, and they might come to you telling you they want to change, but maybe subconsciously, maybe in their quiet moments, they actually just want to prove to themselves and to the world that this is an unjust, terrible world and nobody can help them. And you will burn out if you're trying to help them. So if you have run out of coaching moves, and I will talk extensively about your coaching moves and your options that you have with clients that are not taking care of themselves, please understand that you don't have an obligation to help anyone or everyone. There's just no way that you can make someone change. And it's not selfish either. So if you let go of a client, how difficult this thought for you might be, it can help you help others. So you have more resources, more headspace, more energy to help those clients that come to you that want to collaborate with you, that want to work together towards a common goal. And if you let go of the clients that are just not ready yet, where you tried everything but it doesn't work, you let go, it frees so much energy for you, so much confidence, that you can focus on those who are willing to take on the responsibilities. They will give you energy, you give them energy, and most importantly, you will not burn out because you will start to enjoy working with clients again if you let go, maybe for the moment, of clients that are not yet ready. But let's talk about what is the precondition to progress. What do we need to see in a client so we can work with them? And essentially, it's the desire to improve. They are looking up for new ways to bring about change. And this desire to improve can be expressed through change talk. And change talk is essentially everything that the client says or does that moves them towards change. Here are a couple of examples how change talk could look like. Very common is the expression of a desire. I want to eat more vegetables, I like to lose weight, I wish to keep up with my grandchildren. It can also be expressed in their abilities. Oh yeah, I can train 3 times a week. I can replace the donut with a whole wheat bread. They may bring up good reasons to change. So, for example, if I lose weight, then I will feel more attractive to my partner. Or they have a need. Maybe they are coming from their doctor and they say, oh, I need to lose weight to get off the medication. Or I have to build my endurance to pass this test for my job. This is more the early stages of change talk. So these are just words they are saying. It expresses their wish and their desire for change, and it's super important, but there's a level above that. That is, for example, is commitment. So if they are stating their willingness to change, for example, I'm going to bed earlier, I promise to eat more lean protein with every meal. Or maybe they have gone a step further and have already taken action. So they went for a run or they made push-ups every morning, for example. So this is the big difference between a client that's looking down. They're looking for reasons why they cannot do it, why it is difficult, why the world is against them. versus a client that's looking up, that is expressing commitment, expressing desire. They are maybe already taking action. And you can already feel what a difference it makes to work with a client that comes to you and already expresses change talk. It energizes you because they want to collaborate with you towards their goal. And if you want to learn how to respond to change talk and how to move their change talk into specific actions, check out the video that I've linked here. There's one thing that we need to talk about here, and that is resistance. So the client might come to you, they're looking up, they're expressing change talk, and yet still they're not taking action. And one of the biggest reasons why that happens is us. We as coaches can be the reasons why our clients don't change. Because if you want to help, if you want them to change now, if you want them to feel better about themselves, if you want to go if you want that this uncomfortable feeling goes away, you want them to see how amazing they are, you want to show them your way, you want to be seen as the expert, then you're pushing them towards change. And what happens when you push someone? They can push back. And then you are in a very, very difficult situation because instead of working together towards a common goal, you're pushing for a goal and they're pushing against you. And suddenly you're stuck. Instead of having a collaboration, you essentially have made your client your enemy. And this can happen for many different reasons. Maybe you're super enthusiastic. Maybe you struggle with the idea of, oh, if my client changes, then I'm a bad coach, or I won't get any new clients. Maybe it's the idea of, oh, I am the expert, and because of what I said, somebody changes. But please understand that all these things lead to the most bad and destructive coaching behaviors, and it doesn't help your clients, no matter how much you want to help. So let's talk a little bit more of what that actually means, resistance. Resistance essentially has two parts. One is what motivational interviewing calls sustained talk. Sustained talk is everything that is in favor of the status quo. So that's about the suggested behavior change. For example, I really don't like eating vegetables, or I don't feel comfortable working out in a gym. That's okay. You can always change the target behavior to something that they are more ready to change. What is more difficult is what is called discord. So it's a break in the connection between the coach and the client. And this really is the strongest prediction of no change. So if you hear something like, oh, you don't understand how stressful this is for me, then that's a bad situation. And you need to pause and re-establish the connection, because if you and the client are not working together and instead pushing against each other, you are essentially preventing your client from moving forward by pushing too hard. So how can discord look or sound like? They can be defensive, so they are not listening to you, or they're blaming you for the problems. They can argue, so they challenge your position. So yeah, eating vegetables, I've never heard that eating vegetables is healthy, or why should I eat carbohydrates? They are making you fat. They can discount your responsibility or their responsibility. Oh, I couldn't do that. That's not in my control. They interrupt you, so you're trying to say something. Maybe you're trying to convince them why something is so important, and they interrupt you, or they talk over you, or maybe they're plainly ignoring you. They don't pay attention, they change the subject, or sometimes Discord can also be silent in something like, I don't know. So when a client is essentially lazy, if you want to, and they're not giving you anymore, they're disconnected, they are not ready to give you any deeper information, that is a big red flag for you to stop, to pause, and to reconsider the situation. Because right now, if you see these signs, you're essentially making sure that your client won't change any further. And that's the last that you want to do. So what can you do when you notice discord? First of all, respect their resistance. Resistance needs two people. Clients need someone to resist to. So if you instead move next to them and you move and flow with the resistance, you can essentially remove this discord and rebuild the connection. Sometimes that means you have to apologize. Sometimes you need to go back to the beginning of engaging into the conversation and building the connection again. And in the video that I linked here, you learn the 4 steps that you need to go through in a motivational interviewing conversation. And always express your empathy and avoid any kind of arguments. So if they're saying, oh, you have no idea how difficult this is for me, pause and say, I'm sorry, I may not have understood something here. Can you tell me more? Don't try to argue with how good you're listening, how important this is to you, and especially let go of the idea of that you are the expert. Motivational interviewing only works if 2 experts meet. You, the nutrition coach or the fitness professional, and the client, the expert on their lives. And only if they work together, if it's an expert collaboration, something meaningful and helpful can occur. So if you notice any signs of discord, make sure that you pause, that you take a step back, re-establish the connection, and then move forward with motivational interviewing techniques. And if you want to see very specific what you can do to elicit motivation and to move into planning very specific steps, I've linked a video about this here. Let's assume you're not making these mistakes, that you have a good connection, you have a good collaboration. What can you do? So essentially, I want you to think about the world in terms of frames or windows. And you look out of the window and you see a ton of neutral things that don't mean anything. But if you add a goal, so you have a point A and you want to go to a point B, suddenly obstacles and tools pop up. Things that prevent your client or yourself from moving forward, and tools that help your client move forward. And very often in coaching, our job is to remove obstacles and potentially add tools. And that's very important. But something that a lot of coaches miss is the opportunity to look at obstacles, tools, and neutral things in a new way, in a different way. And that's my first very important tip. So build lists of strengths and resources. So when you start working with a client, or if you're already working with a client, create a list of all your clients' strengths, unique abilities, skills, experiences, everything that could be a tool to help them reach their goals. So maybe they're very good at organizing their time at their job. Maybe they're very organized there. So they're time management ninjas. So how can they use their time management ninja skills to make time for working out or to plan their meals? And it's amazing if you start this list, and it's an ongoing list, to see what a client has and how many tools they already have at their disposal. The same thing is true for resources. Create an ongoing list of all the resources that they have. Maybe all their connections, all their accountability partners, all their kitchen tools, or the gym memberships, maybe gym or workout clothes, workout equipment. If you have a long list of everything that could potentially help them reach their goal, it gives an amazing feeling of being confident and so much further along the journey than they might think. And also gives you always cool ideas to combine things that they already have instead of trying to teach new things or to practice new habits. You can essentially grab what's already there, but better use it. Another part in this process of reframing the world, of changing the window that you're looking through, is affirmations. Affirmations are essentially positive feedback, but it's specific. So when a client does something, or you recognize a strength, or they are doing just simply something that's moving them towards change, recognize it, call it out. Because if you're giving your clients always the specific evidence how amazing they are, you're boosting their confidence. They will feel like the absolute winner that can take on the world. And imagine you can help a client move from, oh, I'm not making myself really a priority, I don't know how, to the point where they think like, oh, I can take on the world, I can take on everything that I want, and I want bigger and bigger and bigger goals. Simply because you provided the evidence all the time what amazing things they are doing. So how can affirmations look like or sound like? I appreciate that you're willing to meet with me today. This is such a simple thing. Start a conversation with just, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to work towards your goal with me. Or you're clearly a very resourceful person. Maybe they found a cool time to work out, especially maybe during COVID lockdowns. They learned, oh, I can use 2 jugs of milk and make some simple presses. Or they grab a bag, put a lot of books in there and do squats. Call it out. They will feel amazing about it. You handled yourself really well in this situation. Maybe during a birthday party, they ate only 1 piece of cake and were able to maybe distract everyone who was saying, hey, you should eat more, or why are you only eating 1 piece? Call it out when they're making great suggestions that are moving them forward. So affirmations is positive feedback that is specific, where you make clear to the client, hey, this thing is amazing about you, or this thing is really cool because it moves you forward. Alongside affirmations, you can essentially bring the idea of other people's priorities are more important, and I want to prioritize myself together. That's what I call bring the boats alongside. So why should anyone who is aware of all their shortcomings and all their vulnerabilities and how human they are, why should anyone take care of themselves? The easiest part is if you take care of yourself, your life will suck less. Pain and hardship will always be part of life. But if you work on yourself, if you take care of yourself, this pain and hardship will be easier to carry. And if you have someone in front of you who wants more pain and more suffering in their life, well, that's maybe not a situation where you really can help anymore. So this is a potentially easy thing where, okay, yeah, my life will be easier if I maybe eat a little bit healthier, sleep a little bit more, and exercise or have purposeful movement just to feel better and to go through life that's not as hard. The other part that can be very powerful is to help your clients that are not prioritizing themselves see how this is hurting others. So if we don't take care of ourselves, the people around us will suffer because we will be less patient, less loving, less caring, or maybe at some point people will say, oh well, what could I have done differently? And if you help your client see themselves from the perspective of the people that love them, it can be super powerful to see, oh, I don't want my husband to worry about my health. I don't want my kids to worry about my health. So this is another perspective where you can help clients understand, oh, taking care of myself is it's not selfish. It actually has the best interest of others at heart as well. And another perspective here is maybe you can call it morally, a moral perspective is if we're suffering in this world, we could at least make it worthwhile by taking care of ourselves and bring our unique gifts into the world. So life can be hard, especially if you haven't made yourself a priority for a long time. But understand that everyone, your clients, you as a coach, we have something to bring into this world. And if we take care of ourselves and we focus on our unique gifts and how we can add to the lives of others, we are making this world a little bit better, and suffering is at least worthwhile. So understand that this reframe can be super powerful. So they understand, oh, I have a responsibility both towards others, but also a moral responsibility to take care of myself and bring my best self forward so the people in my life suffer less, have a better life, enjoy life more, and also the life will gain from what I have to offer. If you have any questions around this, let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.